Connecting with students in an online environment can be an inherently different experience than connecting with students in a face-to-face classroom. What are the obvious and not so obvious differences between online and face-to-face classes? Some of the most basic differences come from not being able to see your students in a physical location together. So what does that really mean? Well, that means you're limited in terms of the feedback that you receive from students in terms of facial expressions, in terms of questions that come up as they're engaging with material in real time. And it also limits your ability to manipulate the class in terms of seating arrangements, in terms of monitoring, understanding. But an online class also has some unique benefits that help it to address some of the concerns that are inherent in a face-to-face classroom. And some of these that I've noticed in my classes are that in an online class, because you aren't seeing what students look like on an everyday basis, students are maybe less likely to stereotype other students in the classroom. Physical disabilities, physical appearance differences, none of those matter as much when you're in an online environment. And that can really enhance learning for students. Another thing that I've noticed about my online classes is that students in my online classes are more likely and more willing to participate across the board. Whereas in my face-to-face classes, I certainly have students that are willing to participate, but there's always a smaller group of students that are either shy or don't feel comfortable participating in the large class environment. And so I think that an online class kind of facilitates that process. All of that said, it's important that we as instructors relate to our students in an online environment in a different way than we do to students in a face-to-face classroom because of these differences. So I'd like to talk about 5 simple ways that you can help your students connect with you as the instructor. The first of these ways is very simple. It's just to edit your Blackboard profile and upload a photo of yourself. You should notice on your front page of your Blackboard site, up in the right-hand corner, it says your name, and there's a picture next to your name. If you haven't yet uploaded a picture, it will just be a gray silhouette. So if you'll click on that, this is how you access your Blackboard profile. I'm going to go ahead and click on this icon, and you'll see that I have a picture of myself that I've uploaded here, and I've also written a short description. I wanted to let you know that Blackboard has recently updated the capabilities of the profile feature. And there are a number of different things and features that they've added. You can see there are certain tiles that you can add. These would be affiliations that you might have. You can also add your social media sites to contribute to your digital identity for students. You can see I've linked my Twitter username here, so if students click here, they will be taken to my Twitter feed. You can also add different things related to work experience and any number of different things. Also on the left-hand side, you'll see that Blackboard has added this network feature. This is similar to Facebook in the sense that you have followers and you can follow certain people as well. So Blackboard has recently done these things. A lot of this is kind of in its infancy, but I wanted to let you know about it so that you can promote this to your students and you yourself can begin to establish a presence here on Blackboard through these various modalities. The second way that you can connect with students is monitoring your communication with students. The communication you have with your students in an online environment is very different than the kind of communication you're able to have in a face-to-face classroom. So some of the things to keep in mind when you're communicating with your students is always try to personalize your comments and your feedback, whether they're in an email or in a video or audio message. Try to use students' names as you communicate. You can also convey emotion through text by using things like emoticons and symbols in your communication with students. A smiley face can go a long way to conveying your emotion in a particular message. Also, it's important to refer to previous messages or threads, so helping students make the connection that yes, you indeed remember them from a previous comment that they made helps them see that you are engaged in the class and in their learning. And also providing affirmation. This comes in a face-to-face class quite naturally, but looking for opportunities to provide affirmation to students in an online classroom sometimes is a little bit more challenging, but equally as important. Another way to connect with students is to try using video or audio feedback to convey your messages instead of relying on written text. Here what we're looking at is my announcements page in one of my courses that I'm teaching now, and what you'll see is that I have a number of different announcements that go out every week, and some of these are video announcements. This is a video announcement where I've recorded some reminders about the midterm, some things that I want my students to keep in mind as they're taking the midterm this week. And this is posted here on the announcements page. It's also emailed to students directly. Some students, depending on what type of email program they use, they can actually watch the video directly from their email. Others are just given an alert telling them that they need to go into Blackboard and watch the video itself. I vary this depending on the week, so you'll see as we go through I also have text announcements, and I kind of just change it up a bit depending on the week. I also will provide, some things that I found online that I think might be interesting or useful to students. So keeping in touch via announcements and varying those announcements so that they're not just all text, I think can help enhance your connection with your students. The absolutely best way that I have found to connect with my online students is through the use of screencasting. I use screencasting to convey all different kinds of messages to my students, whether it's how to access particular components of the class at the beginning of the semester. I've also used it to provide feedback on papers to students who are struggling. And finally, I've used screencasting to explain difficult parts of an assignment that has multiple components. Screencasting has been an invaluable tool for me in connecting to and explaining things to my students in an online class. So what we're looking at now is my YouTube channel where I've uploaded a number of different videos and screencasts for my students, and these can be directly linked from my course. And so I'm going to play you a little clip of my intro video for Social Work 3301 to use, and you should get used to it pretty quickly. This is the navigation toolbar here on the left side of your screen. You'll see that our class is listed here at the top, and the first screen that you'll see on your screen is the announcement screen. I haven't posted any announcements yet, but I will soon, and they will always appear here on this front screen once you click on our class. One of the most important things I'd like you to see on this is the syllabus. So if you'll click on syllabus, So you can see that there are a number of different ways that students are able to access this information, whether we have visual learners, audio learners, learners that really need to engage with the material in the course in a way that makes it come alive more so than simply reading text on a screen. So there's lots of ways to accommodate our learners and make sure that we're reaching them the best ways that we know how and helping them connect to us and to each other. Here you're seeing another view of my YouTube, my channel, where I have a number of different videos and screencasts. And this is actually a screencast that explains how I've used screencasting to provide feedback to my students on my paper. So here's a clip from that. You should see your grades. Obviously, mine looks a little bit different than you because I'm just using a demo user, kind of a sample student, so I don't have all of the grades that you do. But if you will scroll down to where it says out of comfort zone paper, you'll see it says grade, and that's your grade on the paper. But if you click on comments, you will see an MP4 file pop up. If you click on that, so this is the sample feedback that you'll receive, and you can see that it's the rubric. You'll see on the very far right hand side of the screen, it shows you how many points you earned versus how many points were available. I also have some comments in the middle of the rubric, and you'll hear my voice kind of going through those and explaining those in a little bit more detail. So hopefully this will give you a little bit more personalized feedback than you might typically get in an online class. So anyway, you can see that there are a number of ways that screencasting can be used to connect with students and to personalize the feedback that you're giving them. Finally, I think it's important to help our online students see that we're human too, that we make mistakes, that we do the same kinds of things that they do when we're outside of the classroom, and to really personalize the feedback and the communication that we have with students in some creative ways. And so I've tried to do that in my classes in a number of ways, and I found that it really helps the students maybe give me a little bit more slack. I don't come across as much of a robot. Part of that is creating a digital identity, and some of that comes from connecting via social media sites in limited form. But other ways are just mentioning things that help students see that you have a life outside of the classroom as well. So as an example of that, this is a video that I sent out to my students as a video announcement, and I want to show you a little bit of what it looks like. I hope you now have an understanding of how this online class is going to work. I hope you've had time to look at the materials and work on the first section of your paper. Just a quick reminder, your client situation section of your paper is due this Sunday by midnight. So if you haven't started it yet, now would be a good time. Happy Friday. I spent the week in Washington, D.C. at a conference about preventing teenage pregnancy and STDs. And I thought I would show you my view. So let's see if I can move the computer so you can actually see the view from my hotel room. So I don't know if you can even see that, but that tall thing shooting out of the sky in the distance is actually the Washington Monument. So it's like you're... So anyway, just a quick example of how I've worked to try and connect what I'm doing outside of the classroom to my students in my online class. I hope that these tips have been helpful, and I hope that you'll contact me if you have any questions or if there's anything I can help you with in terms of connecting with your students in an online environment.